What up? Hey, what up? How's everyone doing? What up, peeps? What up, everybody? Joseph, how you doing? Harper, how you doing? Is that Harper or Hooper? Brian, how you doing? Chi, how you doing? Everybody, Figure, good to see you. Good to see everybody. How's everybody doing? What up, everyone? Gonna make some tea. Make some tea and let's talk. Chi, don't get you what up. Will Clarky, how you doing? Clarky, you bunked the meeting today, man. You should have come to the meeting today. It was interesting. But I'll call you after. We've got some things to talk about. Brian, how you doing? Tanaka, how you doing? No, hey, what up, everyone? 52 people watching. Melissa, how you doing? Listen. Oh, man. I want to be honest, guys. I've been very afraid to come back online. I've been very afraid. You know, I'm boiling the kettle. I'll come make the tea in a second. Let's talk. Okay, guys. Oh, man, listen, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since we spoke last. It's been a very, 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 very long time. Today, we've got a couple of things to talk about. I'm trying to make my tea. See, that's why I'm pacing. I'm trying to get the kettle to heat up. Then I remembered I have a wife. I shall call her and make my tea whilst I talk. How about that? Okay, let's go. This is the Zanu PF Manifesto, ladies and gentlemen. I managed to get my grubby hands on it. So I spent the whole day reading it, trying to understand it. Trying to understand what the plan is. What the plan by the new president is. Tendai Mugabe, how you doing? President of the Tea Party, Joburg. I love you guys. Okay, so we got the Zanu PF Manifesto in hand. And before we talk about this piece of work, ladies and gentlemen, I need to be honest. It's been very hard for me to come back online. See, I got banned from Facebook. See, what happens is I'm a very impassioned type of guy, so the way I talk, sometimes winds people up. So they report me. The last time I was blocked because I was defending the rights for women to breastfeed from one of these young generation stupid characters who was like, women should cover up when they're feeding babies. So in my attempts to defend women's rights to breastfeed, I was blocked. I was blocked for 30 days, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know why I was blocked for 30 days. I didn't know the word cunt could get you in so much trouble. But anyway, cut a long story short, for 30 days I was off the internet. And And then I came back. And I was supposed to come and do a tea time last week when I got removed. And then the wife said, so what are you going to talk about today? And I said, geez, I'm very upset about a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to talk about to people. See, it's been a while since we connected. Hey, Matikaras, how you doing, man? But I was afraid, you see. I wanted to explain to you why my fears have come from coming back online. You see, we're in a space in Zimbabwe in media history where we're now freer to say a lot more things than we could say before. We almost have an oversize of freedom where people can say whatever they like. If you want an example of this, go on any of the president's posts right now on his Facebook page and you'll see what people are saying to him directly. And you see that Zimbabweans generally are developing a much easier freedom of speech. People are becoming much more freer to talk. However, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the freedom of speech, it's almost as if we've now regressed into a space which has caught up other places in the world, like America, quite darkly, when it comes to letting people talk, letting people speak. See, people know that I'm a person who normally speaks my mind. And when we started the tea time, there wasn't a lot of you. I didn't get 137 people viewing. There was 20 of us. And we used to connect, we used to talk, we used to go back into the DMs afterwards and we'd connect with each other and we'd talk. And we were free to talk and there was not many of us. And then all of a sudden, it's like my Facebook is a personal profile. A lot more people started joining and started talking. and a lot of people start joining, a lot more people like yourselves. So right now I got 146 people watching. Now I want to explain to you why it's become so difficult for me to speak. Because it's got to a stage where I feel like I cannot be 100% honest with you guys anymore. Now it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, but it's almost as if, as the channel has grown and more people have started to talk to us, the less honest I've had to become. Because in a sense, I've had to become more pacified. I've had to become more gentle. I've had to become more calmer in my approach. I've had to become safer when I say certain things. So I have not been as aggressive as I used to be when we first started the Tea Party. And I think a lot of people who joined the Tea Party was because of its brutal honesty. And unfortunately, because we're in a weird space where the country is so polarized, I feel like I cannot come on this channel anymore and tell you guys that Chamisa fucked up. Because it's almost as if I'm selling out the struggle when I tell you guys that I don't agree with this part of Chamisa. It's almost as if I get attacked vehemently by other supporters when I tell you guys that I'm not happy with ED. It's almost as if I get attacked by any guys if I say, you know what, I really like Noah Manyika's Manifesto. You know, it became harder and harder for me to be honest because it almost seems like I need to become a cheerleader for the polarized politics that Zimbabwe has become. But today I said, you know what, let me stop being polite. There's a gentleman here who's reading out a comment, Lennon. He says, Kuda, you are guilty. You have stopped encouraging your young people to value education. I found that so productive of you. The jury's out on you, buddy. Well, Lennon, just block me and fuck off. I mean, who gives a fuck what you think? See, that's the Kuda that's supposed to be. The guy who actually doesn't give a fuck. Hey, thank you, wife. You're wonderful. See, I got my tea. As if by magic. My house tea is now made by magic, which is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's become very difficult for me to be honest. So today I'm going to be as honest as possible with you. And I'm not going to be fearful. I'm not going to be afraid of the people who didn't stop listening to me when I tell you guys the truth. As far as it is my truth. And I shall always quantify it and say, it's my truth. Lennon, how are you doing? Thank you for staying, Lennon. See, ladies and gentlemen, today I woke up and I saw President Chamisa in the UK with Tendai BT and his team. And I saw him stand on a rickety bit of a table. And I saw him talk and talk and talk. Then he said one thing that struck a chord. You see, out of all the things that President Chamisa said, there's one particular thing that he said which got the public's attention. Nelson Chamisa says, in a free and fair election, if ED wins even 5% in a free and fair election, I'll give him my sister. He said, I'll give him my sister. Then he goes on to say in Shona, the no sister hungry, so I already 18, I'll try Murume. Now, I want to be honest. You see, I'm a man, I'm a father. I'm a father. I got 2 daughters. You know, I got a wife. He who finds a wife finds a beautiful thing. You know, I got a mother and I got a sister. Okay? So when I heard this comment, when I heard Nelson Chamisa go, I'll give him my sister, who's 18 years old. I knew exactly what was going to happen next. I knew exactly. You see, if you go on my sister Fadzima Head's page, she goes and says something along, I long for the day when females can be given the same political chaguti without being objectified and blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's what Fadzai said. Then my sister Nyasha went and said the same thing, roughly like, it's not a joke. You cannot be objectifying women. But let me tell you guys something. As the president of the Tea Party, self-imposed dictator, I find that comment funny as fuck. And I understand why people like Cesar are upset with that particular comment. I understand why people are upset with that particular comment. But come on, ladies and gentlemen. We are not the generation that's going to become the generation of indignation. We're not the generation that's going to become the generation that always has something to be offended by. We cannot be the generation that's always whinging about, oh, he said this and it offended me. For fuck's sake, ladies and gentlemen. Nelson Chamisa was standing in an audience of like minds and people who consider themselves supporters and friends. And he was out there just bantering with his people. Okay? He was bantering with his people and he offered to pimp his 18-year-old sisters to ED. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do not support slavery. I don't support women being objectified. Like I said, I'm a father of 2 daughters and I got a son. And I don't teach my son to objectify women. However, ladies and gentlemen, I want the right as a man and as a Zimbabwean to be fucking able to diss my sister in front of people and have a joke. You know, my sister's a cheera. In fact, my sister Linda's just joined. What up, my sister Linda? It's good that my sister Linda joined. See, my sister Chido is a cheera. And when a cheera are very, very, very argumentative. Now, this is not some speculation shit. There is scientific evidence in Einstein's books that when a cheera are argumentative. So I can imagine myself standing in front of an audience of people. Too much swearing. If you really don't like swearing, I really, really tell you now to leave the channel. If you leave now, you won't be offended at all. And I promise you, you and I won't have to worry. You can block me because I'm the guy who actually swears. And this is the problem. I have to keep dealing with fuckwits who don't want me to swear. And yet they've come on my page. They've come on my page. I didn't know this person. I don't know them. I never been on their page. Anyway, fuck. Fuck, pussy, cunt. Now, delete me and get off. What was I saying? You see these people, they mess up with my head. They mess up with my flow of thought. So my sister Chido is a chihera, and she desperately is an argumentative woman. You know, when you marry a chihera woman, chances are pamba pago panonzi pamba pa chihera. You understand? Pamba pa chihera, because our sisters, I'm mseamwa, you know, and AC I'm mseamwa, and our sisters are very argumentative. You know, Linda's not a cheera, but I always call her cheera because Linda, I make a spirit, kana cheera. You know what I'm saying? I make a spirit. So, when I stand up in front of people, even at a wedding, if I make a joke like, you know, if I walk to a river and then my sister swept away, I won't walk the direction of the water, I will walk the opposite direction because I'm the cheera, I'll probably find the bitch on the other side. That's not me saying bad things about my sister, and people will laugh at it, but it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. God damn it. Ladies and gentlemen, President Chamisa is a human being. He's a human being, guys. He's a human being. He's a guy who was standing around like minds in the UK, people who just enjoyed bantering with him. And he made a banterful joke about his own sister. We don't even know if this sister exists or not. We don't know. But what we do know is that we were given an opportunity as outsiders to look into a private meeting with a presidential aspirant having a joke with his people. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not be the generation that's always offended. Let's not be the generation that's always indignant, that's always so upset at everything. Let's not be the generation that sees Fadzai mocking Mugabe, by the way, sitting in a wheelchair going, oh, I need a massage because ZBC had called it a massage chair, and then say, she doesn't like disabled people. Let's not hear Nelson Chamisa make a joke about his sister and then say, oh my God, he hates women. He's a misogynist. When did we become such a sensitive, emotionless, joyless group of people? You know what? It's like we all... Sorry, I'm going to stick to English, you know, because I was told sometimes we go into Shona too much and we alienate our fellow brothers and sisters. You know, my wife being Debele now, I try and keep the Shona out. However, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Tea Party. We are the bastions of common sense. This is what makes us different from these other polarized fuckwits. We have to be those guys who say, you know what? When Nelson Chamisa made that joke, He made it as a joke. It was a fucking joke. I don't even know if his sister exists or if his sister was offended. I don't know. I just thought it was hella funny. You see, let me explain to you the context of what Nelson Chamisa said. He said these words. In a free and fair election, if ED could get even 5%, I would give him my sister. Now, that's what jokes are. You have to look at the context of the joke. You see, if Chamisa had just walked up and said, hey guys, I want to give ED my sister who's 18 to fuck, then we would be angry, like, yo, my nigga, what the fuck are you saying? That's crazy. However, it was premised with context. The context was simple. In a free and fair election, if ED wins in a free and fair election, then I will give him my sister. Then, on the side of trying to diss his sister, maybe a little family joke, he goes, hey, that's one sister, I've got a sister who's 18, now, ladies will know that joke, you know, Chimisa's a pastor, for example. They'll understand, you know, my wife is in a bunch of groups of young ladies from churches, and they're all praying for a bae right now. They're all praying for a man. They're going getting manicures and pedicures every single day trying to get a man, okay? And he was just being playful and metaphorical. He wasn't really trying to sell his sister to ED. I mean, I'll tell him to be careful because ED actually likes young girls. It might take her. But as far as I'm concerned, it was just a joke. I don't want to go onto my Twitter every single day and see such random indignation all the time. You see, the comms director of the Be the Change campaign, her name is C, Nyasha. Nyasha on her Twitter feed then went on to say, there's no room for humor like this for a presidential candidate to be dissing women in this type of way. Now, this is my friend, you know, my chief. And she's a great woman. So I retweeted her with a comment and I said, what if Chamisa's sister can't cook? Now, you see, I'm now being attacked on Twitter by people saying, who said women should be the ones that cook? Guys. I was trying to point out the irony of a joke by another joke. You see, this is humanity. We are humorous people. We make jokes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go onto the old comedies that made some of the great comedians you love so much, go and watch Eddie Murphy Delirious, Eddie Murphy Raw. Go and watch some of the old Martin Lawrence comedy. And you will see that the best way to make comedy is to be offensive and to be offended. It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw a joke the other day by a Tory MP who said she took her dog into the dole center, the social services center, and asked the social services guy, how much can that dog get? And the social services says, well, we don't give dogs social service money. And then she goes, well, he's brown, he stinks, he's never done a job in his life, and he can't speak a fucking word of English. You see, I thought that shit was funny. Now, I know what she was trying to say. She was trying to say this is a premise of black people being lazy, not wanting to work, and always taking Social Security. I get it. However, guys, it was a joke, and I thought it was a pretty funny joke, so I fucking retweeted it. Because I'm not joyless. I'm not walking around with a stick up my ass thinking, oh God, what should I be offended about today? Let me be offended by Chamisa for making a joke with his sister. You know what would really be funny? It would really be funny if his 18-year-old sister came out and said, I'm really offended by my brother's joke. But she won't be offended. It'll be us, this generation stupid, that loves being offended on people's behalf. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that I did was I said I was reading the Zanu PF Manifesto. That's what I was reading. That's the Zanu PF Manifesto. Whilst you're indignant about Chamisa whilst you're being angry about Chamisa, making jokes with his followers and his sisters and friends, an entire party that's currently ruling has put out an entire manifesto, and it's long, and it's thick, and it's full of bullshit. You see, this is what we should be talking about as a generation. Uncle Jeb just had 300 people talking about the Chamisa story again. This false indignation, this attitude of constantly being offended on behalf of somebody else. Is this weird perception that, because I'm on the internet, I now have the power and the tools to be offended on behalf of disabled people, on behalf of gays, on behalf of black people, on behalf of white people who have no ears, on behalf of people with no dicks. For God's sake, ladies and gentlemen, let's be allowed to joke. And then let's get straight back to the fucking substance of life. These manifestos, the things that are going to affect our children. This is going to affect our kids. This is going to affect our kids. You see, because there's a bunch of people who say ED has my vote right now. And they say that because they haven't even bothered to read this. And then we fight each other online saying, well, how can ED have your vote? How can ED have your vote? I mean, he said Pasne Mandu, and that's a terrible thing to say. Guys, let's stop fighting over stupid shit as a generation. Let's read these things. We have an actual fucking election that's coming. Let's read this manifesto. Let's read the one that Nelson Chamisa and TeaTime S8 Ep1 have been working on. Let's read these things. These things affect our children. You see, I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't offended by Nelson Chamisa making a simple joke. I wasn't offended. You see, maybe it's because I know that man's heart. I know him. I know Nelson Chamisa. And I know when he was making that joke, he was being playful. He's a theatrical speaker. In a sense, the reason why he's in charge of the MDC is because he's not like TeaTime S8 Ep1. You see, TeaTime S8 Ep1 would have stand there and he would have told you litigious shit. Like, categorically speaking, the manifestations of the economics of the what. And that shit isn't interesting. You see, that's why Chamisa is at the helm of the MDC. Because he tries to be playful and cheerful and try and also be entertaining. That's why when he says bullet trains, I don't actually take him literally serious. You see, because I'm not an idiot. We don't have to be idiots, people. Let's think. Don't be offended by stupid shit. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the Tea Party, this is your homework. You know, every week I give you guys homework. Your homework is to go and be the defenders of common sense. You don't have to like Nelson Chamisa, but you must be the defenders of common sense. When people are talking about, why is Nelson dissing women? Tell them he's not dissing women. He was having a joke amongst his own followers about his own sister. And people laughed. So fuck off. And have you read the Zanu PF manifesto and have you registered to vote? That is your homework, ladies and gentlemen. Go be the bastions of common sense. And you see, ladies, I want to be honest. This is full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a pretty sad day for me. Because MDC has just launched two candidates to contest in the primaries of Mount Pleasant constituency. Now, on a personal level, on a personal resource level of time and effort put into negotiating and trying to find a common ground and common consensus in making sure that the Be the Change campaign and the Alliance did not fight each other in Mount Pleasant, but we fought Zanu PF. That's been 43 weeks of blood, sweat, and tears. So you have to remember that when I discovered today through Twitter that they have then said, well, fuck Fadzai and fuck Be the Change, we're going to field candidates anyway, it now means that I will be a part of a campaign that is now going to be fighting against the Alliance and Zanu PF. So today should be a day of rejoicing that Nelson Chamisa is being trolled online about a joke. See, I should be exacerbating and fueling the flames so that people think, oh, these Alliance guys are not serious. You see, that's the easy thing to do in a polarized community. But we are the Tea Party. We don't do that. We try to remain objective. So even though they've said fuck you to me and they've spat in my face and they've sort of totally in bad faith wasted a lot of my time and the team's time, I still defend their rights to have jokes, for God's sake. They must have rights to make a joke amongst their own followers. And if you don't follow them, stop following them. If you don't like the way he speaks, stop following him. Don't vote for him. But I'm saying, guys, we're not going to be the generation that always whinges and cries about stuff. Let's not be idiots. Idiots. See, this is, again, where I say that it was now difficult for me to come online because I always end up saying things that are not the popular things. You see, the most popular thing to do would have been to say, oh, well, Chamisa is not a nice guy because he said something evil about women. But he didn't say anything evil about women. In fact, 99.9% of his speech was policies that will actually encourage and enlighten women and help women and men equally. I found his speech quite well received. Bar that little joke, which I thought was hella funny, by the way, because he was trying to show you guys how confident he is that if he is given a level playing field, he can beat the other side. He was using strong terminologies. You see, I've done the same thing before. I've done the same things before. I've used strong terminologies to try and exaggerate a point. You see, it's a verbal articulation tool. It makes people get things a bit more quicker in their heads when you can use those kind of little examples and analogies. It was just a guy trying to make sure he made you understand that if the playing field is level, blazum daraya no bagura bagura. Urukunzwa. So that's your homework, Tea Party. We go out there today and we defend. We don't defend Nelson Chamisa. We defend common sense. We defend our rights to make jokes. We defend the rights for us as males and females to tease each other and have jokes between brothers and sisters, friends and husbands and wives. We will defend the rights for people to be able to make jokes. God damn it. We will defend that right because we are the Tea Party. We'll defend that right. And I see a lot of my sisters on this platform. Please listen to me. That man was not trying to disregard you as women. He's a father. He's got a wife. He's not out there to make you seem like you don't matter. No, that's not what he's doing. He was making a fucking joke. So please, Tea Party, go out there and defend common sense. Go out there and defend common sense. I've been talking for too long, I feel. I really wanted to talk about the Zanu PF Manifesto. But again, I just got caught up on talking about fuck shit. I don't know. Do you still want me to talk about the manifesto, guys? Or should I talk to you about it tomorrow? I don't know. Should I talk about the manifesto tomorrow? My tea is now cold. My tea is now cold. Sister Dudu, you said you will not speak. I know you probably disagree with me, but I'm telling you, man, that man was not trying to be disparaging to women. He wasn't trying to degrade women. He may have spoken with patriarchal positionality, but I don't think that he's a chauvinist. And I think we should defend common sense. Takawira. Like I said, I'm not defending him. I'm defending my right to be able to make jokes about my sister. I'm defending the right to be able to make jokes about my wife and make jokes about my daughters, for God's sake. Like, I want to be able to make jokes about myself without people always getting so fucking sensitive. You're such a sensitive generation of fucking pricks. Anyway, the one thing I'm going to talk about is in the manifesto, I'm going to talk about command housing. I mean, in this year, there's a bunch of command bullshit. Huh? There's a bunch of command horse shit. A lot of rubbish in here. You see, it's almost as if they are trying to make it look like they haven't been in charge for 37 years. They're trying to make it look like they haven't been the ones who... They're trying to make it look like they're not the ones who have been running the country badly for the last 37 years. this is what got me fucked up about this particular book. You see, it thinks I'm an idiot. It thinks I'm an idiot. How do you parade these old guys and the guys who've been in charge for 37 years and start talking about renewal and change? How do you do that? How do these guys do this? But the one thing I'm going to talk about, and again, it's going to be an unpopular decision, is I'm going to talk about command housing. I'm going to talk about the command housing. You see, I know you all saw the tweets. You know Zimbabweans like to be clever. They're clever people. He said he's going to build 1.5 million houses. He's going to build 1.5 million houses. It's impossible because you have to build 822 houses a day. You see, this is when I see how stupid we can be sometimes as a generation. See, we don't want to think laterally. We think very, 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 very categorically. We're very stupid sometimes. You see, the policy to build 1.5 million houses over 5 years is not going to run by the government themselves building 1.5 million houses a day. Okay? Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not be stupid. Let's refuse to be stupid. It's nothing to do with the government themselves building $1.5 million houses a day in 5 years. What they are saying is that they are going to do a thing called command housing. Hey, salute my Commander-in-Chief, Noah Manyika, who's now watching. The only man who's talking sense right now, by the way. You should go read his manifesto. In fact, there's an app for it for you guys. Go download the BZA app and check it out. It's important. But let's go back to this. Zanu PF is saying they want to do something called command housing. And in command housing, they want 1.5 million people to start building homes, and then they give them inputs. Do you understand? So you have 1.5 million people who have plots and so forth all around the country, all around Harare and so on and so forth, in different provinces and so forth. And what they're saying is just like command agriculture, where people who had farms and people who had land allocated them were given inputs to farm under command agriculture, the same thing is now going to happen with giving people inputs in building materials and space and land and so forth, so that within 5 years, 1.5 million houses can be built. You see, that is the policy. Don't look at the headlines, Tea Party. Do not look at the headlines. Read the things so that you're not idiots retweeting stupidness about having to build 822 houses a day. Because that's not what they were saying. And you see, this is why this polarized country is getting worse and worse. It's because young people like us who went to school are refusing to open up our fucking brains and actually read these things and actually understand what the policies mean and engage and actually ask questions. You see, people who really wanted to know what Zanu PF had to offer should have attended the fucking launch of this, so that they could then ask their lawmakers and say, what are you going to do? You said 2.5, 1.5. How are you going to do it? And the answers came very quickly. I think the architects of this were not dumb. Like I said, it's a very, 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 very well-crafted piece of bullshit. Like I call it command bullshit. This is command bullshit. But within it are some gems. There are a couple of things that you and I should look out for. Number one, this command housing. If you are young and you are in Zimbabwe and you have a land, a plot, if you have an area where you want to build, etc., etc., this Uchi guy just told me not to swear on my channel. Can you just get the fuck off my channel, please? I'm not here. I'm not your friend. I don't even know you. Like, get off my channel. They always make me lose my frame of thought when they say I should. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Took a break before I burst the blood vessel. This is the Tea Party. If you don't like strong words, please, 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 please get off this channel. It's not for you. It's not a nice place. This is not a place for pussyfooters and sensitive people and people who can't take a joke and people who get offended. And no, this is not that place. Go look for other people. I'm sure there's nice little pastors and political candidates who need your vote. I don't. So fuck all you. Anyway, let's read this. A couple of gems in here that I really want my generation to look out for. Really, really important things you must look out for. For example, the first one is that struck out to me is that in the promises of the healthcare on this manifesto, they promise that within the next 5 years, the Zimbabwean budget will give 15% towards healthcare, according to the AU. There's an agreement. I'll read up on it and let you know. So instead of the current 1% GDP that's going towards health, it will be 15% as mandated by the AU and the SADC summit. So it's important that we read through these things. If you are saying ED has my vote, at least know what the fuck you're voting for. Okay? Read this manifesto. I know that they don't have a version of it on PDF. What I will do is I'll take photos of it, I'll put it up on my page as a PDF, and you guys can read it through. But I highly recommend that we all read through all of these things. You know, I've even read the Build Zimbabwe Alliance manifesto now that Noah Manyika is here. And it's a great manifesto. It also has some bullshit, though. I'll give you an example. He says that he will cut the cabinet from 210 constituencies to 150 constituencies. Now, I would like to know, with all due respect, now that Noah Manyika is here and a couple of BZA guys are here, how are you going to get a parliament to vote that half their jobs are cut? For example, you say you got 210 constituencies and you want to whittle it down to 150. Okay, that means you have to get rid of over 80 or so positions, right? And you want a parliament to vote for 80 of them to be fired. You see, this is what I say, guys. It's like, how are you going to do that? We now need to start asking how. When Nelson Chamisa says he's going to give us free healthcare and Chamisa care, let's ask him how. Where are we going to get the roughly $19 billion a year it is for all of us to be treated for free? How? Because these guys want to give us bullshit and they want our votes for nothing. We must engage with these politicians and ask them how. How? When I asked the Zanu guys, how are you going to give us 1.5 million? Because I came there also looking clever. I thought, hey, let me be clever and say, hey, I had 1.5 million houses with 356 days, times that by 5, divided by, shit, you have to do 822 hours a day. The nigga said, no. That's not how it works. It will run like command, in the sense that if you have a plot, whatever, we will give housing inputs, we will give grants, we will give properties, all these kind of things. And in that way, we will then be able to make sure that within 5 years, 1.5 million people all over the country have managed to successfully build their homes. That is what people were saying in this comment. So I have been asking questions, I'm reading and I'm engaging. I'm calling up my Zanu friends and I'm asking them and engaging. That's really important thing to do. Let's stop talking about Nelson Chamisa making a little joke about his sister. Nelson Chamisa is not a bad guy. Nelson Chamisa did not put us in poverty for 38 years. Nelson Chamisa is not the guy who did Gukara Hundi. Nelson Chamisa is not the guy who raped your sister. No, guys. He's not that guy. That was the other guys who were pretending like they knew. It was them. So don't be angry at the wrong people, please. Stop being angry at the wrong person. Nelson Chamisa did nothing wrong by making a joke in front of his own followers about his own sister who doesn't exist, about a free and fair election. Guys. Okay. Let me add one or two people before I go. People are saying they should add Dr. Manyika. Let me add Dr. Manyika. I'll try. This will be the first presidential candidate on our show, ladies and gentlemen. We should consider ourselves proud if he answers. The first question I'm going to ask him is, how come Dr. Manyika, you haven't joined Kosana yet as he stalks people at washing lines? Dr. How are you, sir?
How are you?
Can my pastor my channels? I'm so doing
No. Well, Kuda, let me just say something real quick, okay? I've got to run. I just saw that you were live, and I wanted to encourage you. I am very, very encouraged by your encouragement to your generation to read and engage and ask the tough questions. I am not afraid to actually engage on the tough questions. Let me just say something real quick about what you said concerning the size of the legislature. These are some of the hard decisions that we have to make. It's not that it's easy.
Right.
And leadership really is about encouraging people to say, look, let's do this because it's in our best interest. The other thing also, when it comes to the size of the legislature.
Can you imagine telling Chino Timba? Can you imagine telling Chino Timba that that's been them vote Can you imagine him
easy.
in Bondo, in Fadzaimahere, and everyone else in parliament in 2023 agreeing to get rid of their own jobs?
No, it's not easy, Kuda. But let me tell you one thing that happened this weekend, which encouraged me to no end. Okay, we were out in Masvingo, and we went to visit a chief whose name I shall not obviously use. Don't want him to be unnecessarily targeted. But we went to visit him. The first thing that happened, which really encouraged me, is that he actually brought all his leadership, his headmen, his Machinda, Ake, and so on, and actually said in our presence that we have an obligation to make sure that every person who wants to present to the Zimbabwean people his ideas, that they are able to. And we're able to do that. And that really encouraged me. Now, if a chief, he, in fact, parked under the tree where we met was the car that he had just recently been given. If a chief who has just been given a car, you know, can actually be that objective and say, look, it's high time we allowed Zimbabweans who have other ideas to present them to us. I really have faith that we can actually encourage each other, even those parliamentarians who will have been one, really, to say what is in the best interest of the country, and let's do that. So we don't present those ideas because they are easy. We also present those ideas to really invite this kind of engagement. And then when we have this kind of engagement and you express it the way that you did, you know, then it also makes us really think about what is needed to move us on, you know. So thank you for encouraging.
Before I let you go, before I let you go, Doctor, one more question. Will you join me in actually acknowledging that the new dispensation president, ED, whether we love him or hate him, has actually somehow opened up the space for people like you and I to be far more expressive? Considering that I've now seen you on ZBC, I've also seen Fadzai on ZBC, I'm seeing other opposition now getting somewhat bigger opportunities than we ever managed to get under Robert Mugabe. Can you join me at least in saying, Chakanaka, Chakanaka, Mugaga Orungweneshu?
So here's what I'm going to say, Kuda. It did not need to take this long. It really didn't. And, you know, if we understand, so when we were out in Masvingo, one of the things that was said at this meeting by someone is that upenyu usingaperi ndo kudenga. Wepano pasi une time limit. And unfortunately, I will say this, Kuda, I find it very difficult to congratulate guys who have actually wasted so much of our time and our lives. That at long last, after 38 years, almost 4 decades,
I accept what you're saying, Doc.
Yes.
I accept what you're saying, but I'm just saying that I feel slightly better now that we are able to express ourselves. And I think I'm one of those people in the opposition who is now saying that I'm not going to be just constantly negative. I also look for positive. The last thing, sorry, before I let you go for real now, Doc.
Absolutely.
Chamisa made a joke, which I thought was quite funny, about his own sister who doesn't exist to a bunch of his followers. Can we please join me in saying that as presidential candidates, we want you to be human. We want you to be jocular. We want you to also be expressive and not be afraid to offend, because we do not want clean-cut candidates who then lie to us.
Okay, I
wasn't offended.
I'm not familiar with what you said. Sorry, I was.
Okay, so leave that one. So leave that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would like you to continue to be approachable. Thank you for joining the Tea Party. Many of your candidates would refuse to talk to people like me because of my use of strong expletives. However, you've always been gracious to me, and I'm grateful for you. Like I always said, you're the one person who sold me a manifesto I believed in. And when I have questions, I can always reach out and you always answer us. So I'm grateful for that. And I hope we have a good, clean, fair election. And I hope you do well, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kuda, and all the best, okay? And keep on challenging us. And you can always count on me to, as you know, I mean, I will say my mind, but, you know, one of the worst things that can happen, and it has happened in this country, is that the different generations have been, you know, so torn apart, and that is so unnecessary. And I appreciate, and a lot of the times, the reason why your generation is angry is absolutely justifiable. I mean, you're not just angry, you know, you're not just, you know, saying these things passionately just to be controversial. There are reasons why, you know. So, and I respect that. And thank you so much for your encouragement, and all the best, okay?
Salute you, Doc. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that is Dr. Noah Manyika.
He joined the feed. He agreed to join on. So thank you very much for him for accepting our call. You know, it's very difficult for some of these young presidential candidates to talk to people like me, a rich like me. Because, you know, someone like me is generally considered a persona non grata. But I'm grateful that people like that always continue to reach out and show us that there's a new form of politics on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to cut this short. Thank you for everyone who's participated. You know, I'm going to reiterate one more thing. Please, ladies and gentlemen, when we're out there today as the Tea Party, we are going to defend common sense. We're going to defend our rights and the rights of people like President Chamisa to be able to make a joke. For God's sake, he's just making a joke. He's not a bad guy. He's not the guy who killed your mom. He's not the guy who gave you Gukarawundi. No, he's just the guy who made a joke amongst his own followers. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do not want to be guys who constantly are just negative, constantly joyless, constantly indignant, constantly sensitive. Let's stop being the sensitive generation. Let's go read the manifestos. Let's go out there and vote. Let's go out there and vote for the candidates of our choices. You know, we may go into a runoff situation in Zimbabwe this year. Let's be those people who are there and are informed before we even vote about who we are talking to. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Chamisa made a joke. And I'm glad he made that joke because he made me come back. And I knew what I was going to say was not going to be necessarily very popular, but at least it's true. Nelson Chamisa is not the evil one. He made a joke. And we're not going to be the generation that continuously gets offended by jokes and goats and shooters and continuously gets offended. No, ladies and gentlemen, let us be the generation of tolerance. Let us be the people we preach that we want to be. So join me tomorrow for tea time. We got a lot to talk about. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's getting dark. I got no more light, so let me go. Thank you very much for joining me. We are the Tea Party. Expect us.